Welcome in to the Esports Internships. What experience is there to gain out of this one? All of these people here have some very good insight into that because we have a phenomenal cast along with us. I got Clara, I got Anthony, Vi, and Ricky, and I am outnumbered as far as superiority of organizations go. Cloud9, EG, TSM times two. So it's a rough day. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to the show.
Doing well. Thank you so much for having us, Trevor. Really appreciate you joining us here today. And you're right there with me and Ricky, though. We're all kind of outnumbered by TSM here, unfortunately. So we just got to turn our differences into strengths and alliances, and we'll be 3-2 against them. So
absolutely. Well, if you guys want to we'll go down the line, at least kind of let yourself do your own introductions. You kind of flex on everybody else watching and show them how you got to where you are. We can start with Clara.
Okay, yeah. So hey guys, my name's Clara, and I'm currently a senior at USC. I'm doing PR and business. I was recently a sales and partnerships intern at TSM, and I basically got there from working at my USC esports organization and getting some contacts from there and showing that I have experience. So super excited to be talking here today.
Cool. Anthony, you dressed for the occasion. You got the pocket square. You ready to go?
Yeah, always ready to go. Excited to be here for sure once again. Like you said, I'm Anthony. I'm the collegiate lead here at Evil Geniuses, so I'm responsible for the entire oversight, development, and connection to the North American market for a collegiate and youth perspective for internships and other opportunities. I'm kind of a blend between a traditional sports space combined with the gaming world. Traditional sports household, 3-sport athlete. Dad was a college football player, and I was coming home though and playing WoW and Dota and unfortunately, at a certain point, I started playing a lot of League of Legends and couldn't find anything else that drew my attention. So, I'm the guy that leverages both sides of those and acknowledges the parallels and similarly the disconnects between the two and find some cool ways to impact the market. So appreciate it and excited to hear from Ricky, Vi, and Clara as well.
Glad to have you here, Vi. You're the other side of the Jersey squad today. So, what are you bringing to the table?
I'm Vi, fourth year business information management student at UCI. I bring a lot of collegiate esports knowledge from both the club standpoint, from an org trying to break into collegiate esports, and then I had a marketing internship at iBuyPower. My power is networking. That's what I am. So if you have any questions about that,
Perfect.
That's how I got where I am. Really happy to speak here today.
Well, Ricky, you're the last one in line, and you're the one that crossed over the line. You went from the CLG squad to the Cloud9 squad. First off, what happened? What happened?
I mean, the CLG just doesn't do anything anymore. It's that simple.
Look, you just don't have to say that.
Sorry, I'm just being honest. But yeah, my name is Ricky. I work at Cloud9. I actually just got promoted from internship to part-time. And the way that started is probably like a year ago, I actually started with their content team, and I was able to do that because of my collegiate experience. I was the president of CSUF League of Legends, did a lot of cool expo things, and got to work with Cloud9. And then when I got to the content team, I'm like, hey, I'm not really good at content. I don't really know what I'm doing, and transitioned to do more events and more community building. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here, share my knowledge, and hopefully, teach people how to work in esports.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have all of you here today. And a couple of you made the points that are great segues into where I wanted to start the conversation, especially Vi saying that networking got you 100% to where you, because same, I'm an esports caster and all I do is network. All I do is talk to people, and that's how I get all of my gigs. What, in the context of esports, because it's still kind of a budding market, what's the advantages of networking versus going out and actually hunting for jobs? And what's the balance that you have to find between the both of them? And what kind of gives you one favor to one side or the other?
Well, that was a long question.
Networking.
Networking, important, definitely. I feel like esports is a very small industry right now. Everyone knows everyone else. And there's like not even 6 degrees of separation, like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So it really struck me when I was at DreamHack and I was helping booth for UCI Esports. And I was able to say hi to a lot of people there because I just know them from one way or another. And that was really cool for me. So a lot of people help each other out. Like when I was at iBuyPower, I had an really close connection with one of the interns there. Now he works for Gen G. So when he has updates or anything, he can update me. Also at TSM, I made a lot of connections there, and everyone knows each other. So from there, I have connections to like TL, to FlyQuest, to all the other orgs, and also to our partners. So like Logitech, Lenovo Legion. So it's very interconnected, which makes it very difficult if you ever burn a bridge. But we're all friends here. Like we're never gonna burn a bridge, right?
Correct.
But yeah, definitely, networking is really important. My go-to strat is inviting people for dinner because who can say no to food? And it shows that you have the confidence and the content to talk about over dinner. So yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Just kind of build off, what Vi said there, and kind of blending the two of networking and job searching, right? Like my degree is human resource management. I've worked in a corporate search firm before, where we place IT professionals at like the Amazons and Microsofts of the world, right? So I've kind of been on both sides of that, and I think a big difference to acknowledge between what the esports and gaming space is representative of versus a traditional job search market is if you are just straight up, a software engineer or in computer science or a business analyst or something, you can afford to be more relatively reactive in your job search approach, right? There's going to be, if you're in engineering, there's 100 jobs across the country right now that you can go on that just got posted 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and you can still apply and you have a skill set that overlaps with those. Whereas within the gaming market, if you're being reactive in that job search, then a lot of these jobs come to market relatively quickly and they close even quicker. My position at EG didn't exist 3 months ago or 6 months ago. Things happen on a very quick basis. So if you're waiting for those opportunities to come to market from a job search perspective, you're usually going to be much too late before you actually have a chance to throw your hat in the ring. And combining it with that, right, to Vi's point, like it is a very small community when you boil it down. And that's where networking is so vital to that job search component. Like I think you can get by with just networking, but if you're going to be executing on job searches in this market, you have to network as well. It has to supplement it because if you're applying to a job at a TSM or an EG or a C9 or CLG or Riot Games, how is that recruiter going to know that you are somebody that's already connected, right? If you don't have a connection there and they get 2,000 applications, it's tough, right? I've sifted through those applicant tracking systems. It is tough to get your resume to be a standout against the other 30 or 40 that were brought to the table internally from connections and networking opportunities.
And that brings a good point to the sense of, getting a job, starting out with an internship, like not even just getting a full on paid job, but like Ricky, you recently mentioned that you transitioned from an intern spot to an actual paid gig there at Cloud9. What's that sort of translation like to go from an internship to the paid gig to stay at the same organization? Because a lot of times there's some people that just get an internship and then they go on their merry way to go find another or something to that effect. So what's that sort of like to go and stay in the same organization to go from interning to paid?
Yeah, I think it's really utilizing your internship, kind of like making it most, I guess, like getting what you need from an internship. So like even before I started like that summer internship, I was volunteering, helping out the LCS. So we had like tailgates right before COVID. And I was just like there building my connections, getting to know people a little bit more. And then I even asked like for help in applying for a different position. There was a position open at Golden Guardians. I asked May, who is like one of the seniors at Cloud9, for assistance on my app, and she was more than willing. And I think that's good. That's exactly what you want from your internship, because their ultimate goal should be to get you hired, and that shouldn't matter if it's like with them. Preferably, it should be with the org you're interning at, if they see your value. But in the end, like if you're doing good work, they should be willing to help you get where you need to be and to gain any skills that you need to. So like my big thing, I've been here is kind of like making sure that they know my value, what I'm capable of, and kind of like basically like raising the bar whenever I can.
Respect that. Just kind of keeping it loyal. Claire, we haven't heard much from you about this, but like, being at TSM is such an elite organization. They've been around forever. Everybody knows their name. What's it take to get into an organization like that, where there's this just sort of external understanding that this is going to be really hard to get a job at a place that is as monumental as something like TSM?
Yeah, so actually, I did ask Ali, the person who basically got me hired at TSM as an intern, why she picked me, because I think that's a good question to ask. First of all, if you do get chosen for an internship, please ask them why they chose you, and also if you got rejected, ask them why as well. Basically, it all came down to experience. It looks great on your resume if you've already had esports experience, you've run events, you've done things online, and you have a connection. Obviously, that's great, but you have to show that you have the skills. When you look at the job internship posting, right, you have to look at it and say, oh, what did I do in the past that applies to this? And even if you don't have any esports experience, if you have any event management experience, anything like that, you can apply that and put that into your resume and say those things. um I don't want to make it sound like bad, but before you even get the internship, if you have zero experience, just do work for free. Like, just do free work, volunteer. That's how you get it done. Like, you won't get an internship if you don't have any experience underneath your belt. And that's basically why I got into TSM, because I worked with USC, did events there, knew about esports, and was a likable person, I guess. I don't know. But be nice in your interviews.
Personality helps for sure. That's but like coming from a different side, I mean, Anthony, like your background experience is a little bit different compared to like just going into straight up traditional esports. What's that translation like? You know, Claire's talking about, you know, using other skills that you've built and developed to go into esports. What's that translation like from one to the other?
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, I'm the first one to acknowledge that as many parallels as there are between traditional spaces or, non-esports or gaming markets and industries, there's an equal proportion or arguably more that don't translate one to one. And in just traditional job search markets, right, it comes down to, at the end of the day, how can you add value to a company or an organization or a project or an initiative, right? And I think that applying that to the esports and the gaming space, though, it is absolutely essential, right? We talked about how there's a very small, relatively speaking, small amount of opportunities to get impactful experience right now in terms of internships or full-time opportunities in this market. And so, I do a lot of interviewing, I do a lot of resume reviews, I do a lot of networking things, right? And trying to engage the community more so in depth than other organizations have in the past. And at the end of the day, you need to have two things, up front, which is going to be passion and intellect, right? A lot of people have passion for this industry. Everyone you talk to loves to work in gaming. They want to, they want to be involved, but they don't specifically know how they can offer value or how they can impact this market, right? So when I'm talking to individuals, I look at their experiences, and I don't look for anything that's necessarily a one size fits all. We look for a diverse background of talent at EG, and all my other interviewing and job hunting experiences, we look for that diverse populace size, right? We want different regions, different ethnicities, races, religions, everything, concentrations. We don't want everyone that's just a business major. We want people that are in data science, computer science. So I encourage students often looking to enter into that market, though, and going through that process, really figure out how you can impact and how you can provide true tangible value to a company and organization, right? If I have to sit in on 30 interviews and talk to 30 different people, there's going to be a lot of parallels and overlaps. So being able to differentiate yourself and illustrate to me or a TSM or a C9 that, hey, I am different from my competitor in this way, right? It's always funny to blend. People look at the traditional sports space or trying to use that knowledge and get into the gaming market. And I think if you're looking to look for opportunities outside of specifically like a pro org, like all the people on this call, I think you need to have three major things that'll get you in the door much quicker with non-endemics, specifically if you're looking to leverage esports experience. And that's, you have functional knowledge in a technical area, and you have that X factor, which is the esports knowledge, right? If you can provide to a non-endemic, because everybody wants to break into this market right now, like they're like, oh, esports, it's so cool, it's great. Like, how do we get in? We're an outside the box company. Like, how do we get into this? How do we get involved? Oh, that's where a Vi comes in, or a Clara, or a Ricky, or all these other awesome people with great experience. And they say, hey, hold on, no, we can do the job that you have listed here, but we've also got this esports knowledge, experience, and expertise, and we know how to apply this one-to-one to your business model and make you better, right? And if I'm sitting on the other side of the table trying to hire, I'm picking up the phone right after that call, calling my boss and saying, all right, we got 1 of 5 hired right now, cancel the other 4, like we're good to go.
He's dropping names. Any putback? Vi, Ricky? Response? Rebuttals?
Rebuttals?
Yeah.
Rebuttal.
You guys are the ones. You're the chosen ones.
I actually agree with most of what he said. Definitely technical skills, and then having that X Factor esports is very important, especially since most people who make the decisions don't know, but they know that their children have, like, they know Fortnite or they know influencers that we work with, and they would love someone who has a foot in esports, but also has all the technical skills. I think that's what people forget sometimes, that you can't just have passion. You can't just be like, I love gaming, I love esports. You have to have the technical skills to back it up. So even if you have a major that you don't like consider is with esports, like as you said, data science or computer science or finance, then like there's a space for you. Like I remember there's a story that someone at CLG maybe had like a chef, Team Liquid, that there's this guy who's really passionate, but he had like chef skills. So now he's a personal chef. Like just take your skills, market yourself, and be like, I can fill this niche. Plus, I'm a gamer like you, and then proceed to 1v1 them and get the job.
Yeah, just 1v1. That's all you really got to do.
Yeah, to add on to that, like, yeah, I don't think like major matters at all when it comes to esports. Like, for example, May, who I was talking about earlier, her major is criminal science, mine is public administration, and public administration has to do more about like law and, you know, government stuff. So it literally has like no intercrossing. The only like similarities that I think I've obtained for my major is really just the ability to critically think, because I mean, you're looking at law, you have to be able to kind of like, oh, like explain your reasoning and things like that. But yeah, something that we've talked about too is a lot about like experience, and I think the one of the best ways to do that is really a collegiate experience and getting involved in your local community. There's so many great resources, especially in the time of COVID, where, you know, all of us are at home. It's hard to connect, and because of this, there's a lot more online platforms. One that I recommend to pretty much everyone is ICGN, which is Intercollegiate Gaming Network. You can find them on Twitter. They have a Discord, and pretty much they have like networking nights and stuff like that. So I think like if you just really want to get your foot in the door, there's ways to do it, and you can get experience at like a very basic level. It doesn't have to be like a tier 1 org or anything. Just, you know, getting your feet wet and working with the community directly, because I think there's so many skills in terms of like, even at like Cal State Fullerton, we would deal with disputes when gamers get into fights, and I feel like that's something that's really crucial. You know, how to you know, be able to listen to another person and be able to hear their side, and, you know, make an executive decision. Okay, like, you know, this is how we solve this problem, and yeah.
Claire, you've got some level of experience working with social media. We talk about networking. Is it, I mean, there's better ways to go about networking than DMing an account on Twitter saying, "Hey, I want a job at your place." What's the best way? If like this is, I want to work at TSM. What's the best way without having an explicit job posting that you can reach out to someone at an organization and say, "What do I have to do to market myself to work at TSM? Because that's where I want to be in 6 months to a year."
Okay, yeah. So I guess in terms of esports orgs, other than just directly DMing them being, I guess, a weirdo, I think the best way is to see if, first of all, if that org has any events, right? So TSM and Cloud9 and FlyQuest all have these panels. They have separate panels and like working events and stuff like that that you can join and go and meet them in person. Once you meet them in person, don't just say, "Hi, my name's this, and I would love to work at your org." No, do what Vi did, go invite them out to dinner, or have a real conversation with them so that they remember you. I think that's one of the key ways. Don't always approach someone thinking like, "Hey, I want to get a job at where you work." You have to try to make a real connection here, you know, because no one's gonna want to help you if you just randomly go up to them and say, "Hey, I want a job," or something of that nature. They're more likely to help you if they know you and what you're passionate about. And I think that's where it stems from. Personally, I do DM people on LinkedIn. I think that's a more professional platform to work with, other than Twitter. and I write a short blog saying like, hey, so I'm interested in, could you just, would you like to chat for 15 minutes? And can I get advice from you? Not, I want a job. Don't say that the first time you meet someone, guys. That's just not how you do it. I learned the hard way. Yeah, they're just gonna say, yeah, just check our website. That's not what you want. You want them to talk to you. So that would be my advice.
Build a rapport. Makes sense.
Yeah, no, and just to build off that, sorry, Vi, you can go.
Oh, I just have like a little anecdote about like how to make that personal connection. The way I got my iBuyPower internship was we were at a career fair and I noticed that there was a Pikachu sticker on the laptop to sign up. And I started talking about Pikachu, and Detective Pikachu was a movie that was coming out. And we started talking about that. And that's how the recruiter remembered me, which then led to the interview and the internship. So definitely try to be a little creative about it, but still stand out. Okay, go ahead, Anthony. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. And I just wanted to mention two things there on that Claire mentioned and give her kind of the plus one on. Like, I think the 15-minute interval at a maximum is perfect, right? Like when you're talking a 30-minute block off somebody's calendar, especially if they're a mid to more senior level employee at a company, like if you're working in this industry, and I'm sure everyone on this panel can attest to, like your calendars fill up quickly, right? You have 100 things going on. A 30-minute block is sometimes tough to fit in. And the other plus one on that is reiterating that, doing a great job of putting the ball kind of back in their court, so to speak, right? Like, yeah, you're not going to ask for a job, obviously, but if you express that interest and passion in their company and their career path and how they got the job that they have currently, they'll be more inclined to talk to you for sure. And kind of going off what Ricky mentioned about us being in that COVID world right now and how things are a little bit different. Obviously, we'd love to be back in person and networking and be face to face again and all that. But in terms of students finding opportunities to still network outside the traditional mediums, Discords are great opportunities. We have an entire collegiate Discord at EG that we run and operate in. We do biweekly networking and resume review nights. Like this next Wednesday, we have a guest from LinkedIn giving a whole presentation, and we're doing live LinkedIn feedback on profiles and stuff. And so we'll do opportunities to talk to people from both the endemic and non-endemic sides, or either within internal ecosystem or outside of our ecosystem, and try to provide more opportunities in this digital space to connect with. So Discords are absolutely wonderful opportunities as well. And one note, if you are going to DM people, if you're going to be that person, please at least be professional with how you write it and approach it, right? Like I've been in the high school space running programs. I'm done it collegially, and I always, we always joke about it in our Michigan Esports Conference Discord for the collegiate scene here. Like you'll get a DM like, "Yo, I'm sick at Fortnite, sign me," right? And stuff like that. Like, and I feel like people, view esports and gaming as such kind of like a cool, laid back experience in a lot of ways that they forget that it is a business still. So just when you are reaching out, be professional, be conscious of the language that you use and how you literally write your message.
To add on to that, I will vouch. EG has a great collegiate Discord. I'm part of it. I know the people over there. They're amazing. So yes, definitely a good resource. And yeah, to add to the professionalism, yeah, we work in gaming, but definitely agree with that. Don't message like, "Hey, Ubu, I'm interested in a job." Or I'll also kind of have purpose, because I feel like I've gotten so many DMs where like, "Hey, I want to work on esports," but they don't really know in what field, and that's a really big thing, just to like have a really good idea of what kind of department you want to work on, because I feel like for those working in the industry, most of the time they know what they want to do, but for those who kind of like look at it and just like want to work in it, know exactly what field you want to go into. Like, are you interested in graphic design? Are you interested in event organizing? Because that's something no one else can help you with. That's something that you really have to figure out on your own. And when you set those meetings up with people, make sure you're setting up with the right people. So if there's a graphic designer that you really respect, you just go up to them like, "Hey, what's your inspiration? Like, what's your process like?" And getting really good information that helps you develop your career in the long term, and not, like waste their time overall.
Relevant to kind of your position at Cloud9, Ricky, your event assistant, correct? You were?
I'm a producer /
producer.
activations manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you started out, doing everything, and I'm going to take this question out of the chat. someone focusing on an esports degree, focusing on live events, but obviously 2020 happening. All of those events have been canceled. Trust me, I know. As a caster, it hurts. Do you have any recommendations about looking at alternatives for a similar skill set, looking for live events?
Yeah, so right now, obviously, there's not much you can do for live events. So kind of like transitioning of like how do you get that feel? And that's something that I thought a lot about during my internship. But luckily, we're in the gaming field. A lot of our stuff is online, so there's definitely different activations that you can do. You can still host tournaments. And in fact, like everyone's at home, so you actually have more participants possibly. There's watch parties. Worlds is coming up. That's a good way to activate with your community. And you know, there's always just like amazing, interesting things going on in esports. Like even the EG Collegiate Discord, I know that they have like game nights, Valorant in houses and things like that. So yeah, definitely ways that you can still activate and kind of like have that community building focus that is really essential to esports and gaming. That I still feel will help you in two ways, both like knowing how to organize and create successful events, as well as like getting to network and meet people from all different places.
Clara, do you have something from the TSM side?
Yeah, sorry, my mic keeps turning off itself, but yeah, just to add to that, it's not necessarily to event or live event or production, but just during COVID and people who don't have much to do anymore, other than being active online, use this time. You guys have so much free time now, right? You're not going out, you're not going to school. Learn an extra skill, right? Right now, I'm trying to get a certification for the CAPM. There are so many other things you could do right now. Maybe learn a language, be a translator for like Korean esports players that are coming over, stuff like that. Don't waste this time. And especially in an interview, when they ask you, if you get to the interview stage, oh yeah, so we see that you didn't get an internship or anything like that. What did you do during that time? Right? You don't want to say like, I just played League 5 times a day and, ate hot dogs. That's not what you want to say. You want to say, I learned a skill that leads to this and it'll be beneficial for your organization, right? So you always want to be proactive and learn new skills so that you are ready for that job opportunity.
Now, with a couple other questions coming from the internship side, Vi, I'm going to aim this one at you. People taking internships, looking for internships. What sort of categories are organizations, from people in the field? Do you see internships really start to get the focus on? Like, where are these internships popping up, and kind of what positions are teams looking to fill, especially in a time frame in this weird timeline that we're on right now?
I think from my own job search and like looking around, there's like actually a pretty good mix. There's some technical internships, like TSM has Blitz, so we went like there's potential to have a software engineering internship in the future. But also like EG had a I think data analyst internship position, something that involved technical languages like Python and SQL. So definitely more on the computer science side, but also sales and partnerships. I know Dignitas had a sales and partnerships interns, mainly to do like tailgates at LCS and stuff, like having that on the go experience and working with those activations. But mainly events as well. Definitely skills that you can get from either like hosting your own tournaments or doing esports collegiate experience. Definitely very important.
Yeah, and just one thing to chime in with that real quick. We kind of talked a little bit about it already, right? Understanding what you do exceptionally well, understanding which area you want to kind of isolate yourself towards in your career path and track, right? So, what I mentioned before, like my job didn't exist 3 months ago, 6 months ago. A lot of these positions haven't, and a lot of these positions that are going to be here in another 3 or 6 months haven't been put on paper yet, right? So it's more so you figuring out exactly what you want to do, map out how you get those relevant skills, how you get those relevant network connections established, and then make your own job. A lot of this industry is the ability to essentially make your own roles and your own positions, right? Connect with the TSMs, the EGs, the TLs, C9s, all of these big organizations. And if you can, once again, illustrate you have value to add because you are cornering a niche within the market, you're much more likely to still get in and pretty much create your own job and be doing exactly what you love to do and you're qualified to do.
Well, we have hit our 12 o'clock time frame window, so I'm going to go down the line one more time for everybody inside of this call. If there are any other questions that people would have to direct at you, obviously I would imagine that you can at least entertain a couple of messages, replies here on SwapCard. But from top to bottom, if there's any final thoughts, final reflections, words of advice for those people that are currently enrolled in college, in high school, looking for internships, currently in an internship, looking to make it full time, just typical words of wisdom that you wish you would have had before you started your esports career, starting with Vi.
The grind never ends. Even after you get the
True.
job, the grind never ends. So get ready to put on your carry pants and be really hardworking.
Clara, let's get TSM out of the way because I'm tired of TSM being around all the time.
Yeah, so other than all the stuff that was said in the panel, I think you guys should realize that esports is an opportunity. So even if you're not hired at esports org, you could just go to a company and say, hey, I think esports would be a great way for you to market. I know all about esports, like find different opportunities is what I would want to tell myself.
Anthony, you got the pocket square entitled to the next spot.
From just a personal level, right? Not even specific internship seeking, but in general for your career path and where you want to go. I learned this later than I wish I had, but don't compare yourself to literally anybody else, right? If you hit your stride at 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, it doesn't matter as long as every step you're taking is to or towards what your targeted goal is in your career and your business path. So just don't compare yourself to other people. Focus on you.
Ricky, you jump ship from CLG to Cloud9 to more successful. We get it. What you got, bud?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Anthony said. And I think what's really important is just focus on something. I feel like the people who make it to esports orgs are the people who kind of like solve a problem that esports is facing overall. For example, like Slippy, this guy quit his full-time job in order to create online Melee, and the Melee scene is so thankful for it. That's so awesome. Or I have a friend, his name is Sam Morris. He runs his own production company, and he's been doing big productions for like PAX. So kind of like seeing what is esports missing, trying to add that. And I feel like that's kind of like a guaranteed way to, make sure that you build the skills that you need and to make it wherever, you want to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you to all of you for joining me today on this panel. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. If you'd like to follow them, their socials are all on the screen there for you. But it is lunchtime, folks. It's 12 noon on the Pacific side. So go get yourself something to eat. Come back about half an hour. I think there's another panel going on. And there is more IGEAS coming up. Don't go anywhere.